day, merry meet. My name is Glennis and I am the Witch of Whitetail Hollow. I want to warmly welcome you to my channel. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me, and I think, as you can tell, we are going to be doing just a wee bit of candle reading and a little bit of chat along the way too. I wanted to first and foremost, because I absolutely don't want to forget, is I want to answer a subscriber's question about a candle that she had started working, and I don't know if she's still working it or not, and it was actually a candle that I sent to her. And I want to assure you guys, and I want to assure her, that when I send candles out, the candle that I sent to her had not been dealt with in any way, shape, or form. The candles that I have just in stock are down here, and I've shown those to you guys. They're just sitting there being a candle, and they are not subjected to any outside forces. And what I mean by outside forces is that once I start working a candle, whether it's a taper, a skull candle, a novena candle, or a pillar candle, I, of course, anoint it and I roll it in herbs if that's appropriate to do. I may inscribe it. And there's an awful lot that goes into candle work that I probably some of you don't realize. It may seem, and again, I've spoken about this on YouTube before, you may see, oh, this is what she does. This is, the 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or whatever it is. But in all actuality, that is nowhere near what happens when I start working a spell or start working a candle. I have to build my own energy up either for myself, if I'm doing one for myself, or for my clients, or whether I have someone that is ill, if I have someone that is transitioning from life to the next life, whatever it is. There's a lot of ritual that goes into it, a day or two at least before I start working a candle. So you may see, oh, I've got 20 minutes here. That's just not the reality of the situation. And there's a lot of work that goes into it afterwards. And I might in the future, I'm not really quite sure, I might offer like advanced candle work to those of you who are interested. And again, it's more in depth than what I feel like I can offer here. So I'm, if you guys have any suggestions or whatever, but I know what works for me. So, but I kind of wanted to go through, and I see a flame dancing here. Now, I don't have any air or ceiling fan or anything like that moving, because as you can see, this one is not moving. And I have the names hidden. And these are actual for clients. And I'm not really sure if you guys are seeing it or not. And I see a money flame candle, a money candle flame dancing as well over there. And I don't want to keep moving them, too terribly crazy. But of course, this is a doom candle, as you can see. And when I see one flicker and dance like this, spirit is with us or with me and is working on this specific thing for a client. See, you can see this one is not moving, and this one is definitely moving, and it's not from me because it was over here. So I'm very, very happy about that, and I'm going to just set this one aside and let it be happy, because I'm very, very happy about this happening. But anyway, back to I digressed, didn't I? But back to my subscriber's question and the candle that I sent to her. I believe, if my memory serves me correct, she said that she was going to be doing, or she had started doing, like a banishing. I think it was. And although I don't know, I'm going to move this over here so you guys can watch this. I don't know exactly her wordage. I don't know what herbs she used. I don't know what deities. I don't know the first thing about where and what she was doing. But when a flame, she said it was crackling and sizzling and, all of that good stuff. To me, when a flame, when a candle does that, that means major, major obstacles, barriers are being broken. And that is what, when I hear, especially if I can hear it and if I can see it, and it's just, it's like almost an internal fight. A struggle is happening, and there's, like I said, there's barriers being broken. So with the banishment, all I can imagine is that if in fact it was a banishment, and that's my memory, and we all know how memories go, but that, to me, that means there was a lot of fighting going on and a lot of pushing away going on. So that's a positive, wonderful, good thing. But after I start working a candle, again, anointing it, dressing it, and everything that I do with it, and I will do that for a particular client. And if I set it away, if it's a negative work, then it's going to get treated negatively. It's going to get sworn at, and I've discussed this before, but it gets sworn at, it gets kicked. It's not a pretty sight. Things can get pretty ugly. And, on the flip side, with some love work, I lay my love work candles, if they've been dressed and they're ready to go, I lay them in rose petals and the like the egg cushioning like you put on a bed, and everything is wonderful, everything is great, they're loved, they're spoken sweetly to, and I feel that it works. So, and that is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And it just so happens this particular candle, and of course this is some love work, this candle's flame is very, very calm and very, very quiet, and it is closely associated with this doom candle. So even though the flame isn't, jumping and dancing like this one, it is a steady burn, and that is exactly what I want for this particular love working. Now, I started doing some love working for this couple a little while back, and as I start working my candles, and I see photos and names and birth dates and things like that, and that's when I started reading different things. And there was a couple of things happened before the spell even started, and that told me that these guys were going to be a couple, and that's just the way it is. I am basically, they've been a couple, but they're going to be a stronger couple, a more committed couple. And yeah, I knew that. But so if we can just deal with this situation right here, I think that they're going to be fine. So I'm going to continue to work this for them, and we'll go from there. But I'm going to just set this one aside. Now, here's another love working. And as I see the flame, and I really don't want to tip my candle, but as I see the flame, it is, and the burning, and I'm going to have to cover up their name, and the burning, you can see a little bit of soot there. To me, the way I read this, and of course I have a little bit more intimate knowledge about the people, this is a little bit more one-sided. I have been working this spell for a couple of months, and it's very, very one-sided. And again, I mean, I already knew that going into this, but my candle work confirms what my reading has told me. And I told the client this, but now these other two candles, they're not burning here. And these were for the same client as this love work that's one-sided. This is the one I started with. This was just a simple, well, not simple, but a banishment. And it did not, I don't know if you guys can see it very well on my front, yeah. I still have quite a bit of wax. And even though I do have a very, very long something to light it with, I worked the candle and worked it. There's a little bit of soot, not an unusual amount, but it has stayed cloudy all the way down. Now, when I would, before I started this one and I was still just working this one, as it went down and down, and I would relight it, because sometimes I can let them go and burn, and sometimes I just simply, if I can't be here, then I can't leave them burning. But when I'm here, I'm burning them, and as it burned down, I would relight it. I would say my incantation and my banishment, and it would go out. And literally one time I said my incantation, my banishment, and went to light it, and literally, seriously, as I put it in here, it is almost like someone is in the bottom of this candle blowing this out. It wouldn't even come near the wick. And when I did get it lit, it went out. So that tells me this part of the banishment is over, but I have so much wax left that there's no way that I can say that this spell is finished. So I went to another candle. This is part two. This is part two. Now it burned some better. It's not as dark and cloudy as the other one, although it has a little bit of residue. That's why I try to be very careful with the oils and herbs and things that I add to the candle, because I want a good, accurate burn. But if you'll notice, I think you can see, the further it got down, the more resistance we encountered. The very same thing happened here. It's like there is something there that is resisting the banishment that this person wants to happen. And the reality is that a banishment is really good for, maybe 1 or 2 people, but not for 30 or 40. That's a tough banishment. You can add all of the names to the petition list. You can read every name, and that's a tough spell. Now, if you want to break it down to 1 name or 2 names, then that helps. But it is not realistic or logical to banish every single person out of someone else's life. This is just my opinion. And as far as spell work is concerned, it's kind of not logical. And I tried to deal with this the best way that I could, and I'm still working this spell. And so I'm going to just take a wait and see attitude about this. And I'll just leave it at that. Now, this communication spell is very dim. And as you can look, and see on the outside, it's messy. It's a messy mess. And it's very, very dim. As far as their communication is concerned, I don't know. I don't think things are going well. But I'm gonna keep plugging away at it until the candle is no more, or will not let me continue to work the spell, so to speak. And that takes me to, and I'll talk about when a spell ends, kind of. Now, there's a little bit of money work happening here, and I have their sigil right here, and their flame has burned right down to the sigil, so that tells me at this point in time my spell has gone out and has been out, and their money should start coming into them. And it's not going to come from everywhere. It's going to come from one or two sources. And the flame, where the flame has touched it, that's what tells me. But yeah, this spell working is going just fine, fine, fine. Now, as far as figure candles are concerned, and I'm going to try to be very careful because there's photos and, you know, things like that still happening. There's a photo. I'll just fold this back. Now this, okay, I think, make sure I don't get myself stuck here. This was a figure candle. This is on a mirror, and you see a lot of ribbon here. And the parts that fell off, I really don't know if you can see, but you probably can see a bit of a pin sticking out of this wax. And here's a little bit more left. And basically, I think just at the very bottom here, you can still see a few pins here. But what I do with a breakup spell is it is a couple back to back, and I take an anointed ribbon, and of course this video I didn't share with you guys, but I take an anointed ribbon and I take it between them and use not magic between them. And then on the female side, I had a series of pins, just stick pins, that I use as targets, so to speak, for some of the deities and things that I work with. So that is still, although this is not being burned, I still have this. And their candle, I continued this flame, even though this is no longer burning. I continued the flame to another candle that is still being burned. And so my clients may think it's not going anymore, but in all actuality, it is. And I will burn them until I can burn them no longer, which leads me to, and I mean, I can tell you with this particular one, and I've already given them a reading, but with this particular one, you know, the image, the figure that burns down first to me is the one that is giving off the most energy, trying to stay in the relationship, so to speak. But these burned, the female burned quicker, so she's wanting to stay in the relationship more than the male is with this particular burn. But yeah, I'm going to keep this, And like I said, I'm still working it elsewhere, but I'm going to go to my skull candles here. And I have one hidden away that has never seen the light of day that I bring out. It's in a jar. It's one of those items that is a personal thing. And it is one of those items I take out when I'm feeling particularly strong and mean, and I give it the what for. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But now, this particular candle, this one, was kind of for banishment, kind of. And I started working this, and what I did when I first started working it, I didn't necessarily have to engrave anyone's name on it because I had it on a slip of paper, but I carved it out and plugged it here with my herbs and my oils and things like that. And then I started to burn it, and I sent a photo to my client. It was a very big, strong flame, and to me that means that I've got a very good spell going out. I am spot on with everything that I've asked for. And then I burned it and burned it, and it always produced a very, very strong flame. And then now I think you guys can see it has curled on the back. Now to me, when it does this, that means my spell is basically enveloping I was going to say the victim, but that sounds kind of bad, but the person that this is being cast against, the magic is consuming them. So as far as I'm concerned, the magic, it has consumed them because I went to rework the spell and work it, and I went to light it and it wouldn't stay lit. Now typically on all of my skull candles, especially the ones that I've got loaded, they will burn down to the point where whatever herbs, petition, whatever it is I have in there, it will go down and it will start to burn the petition, herbs, and whatever else. And really burn. Talk about a burn. It will really burn. This one did not. I tried to relight it several times. It would not relight. To me, that says the spell is done. I'm going to keep it, but to me it says the spell is done. But in essence, this candle became this person. And so if they continue to have any more problems, I can still take this out and start reworking it, and I don't necessarily have to light it to rework it, which brings me to this candle. This is, I think I'd better cover up. Oh, yeah, I better cover up some names because I do have names carved into this one. Again, this one is plugged. I think you guys can see. And not all candles have to be burned. What I did is these is in fact two people, and as you can see, I did a little bit of carving, boring into this person's brain a little bit. And again, this is just one of those things that I don't necessarily have to burn, but I'm working the candle nonetheless. And again, another plugged skull. I have worked it and worked it and worked it to the point that it went out. Again, this is another one that just went out on its own. And I mean, I guess that I could, take my knife and dig this out and try to relight the wick. But the reality is that the wick goes out, the spell is done. So, and I see a little bit of, I don't know if you guys can see it here, I see a little bit of curling in, and again, that to me that means the spell not necessarily is going into the person, but it's going out to where it needs to be. So we've got a good, nice, tight spell casting here. And this one, I don't do tapers very, very often, but I have a taper here with a puppet. That's a little bit of love work. Of course, it's red, and that's a little bit of love work. And there's been virtually, on this one, virtually no dripping. And to me, that is a positive sign. Now, I had a spell bottle that I made for a couple. On every day I would take a chime candle and burn it on top of it for different meanings. And the chime candle virtually did not drip. It just basically disappeared. And again, I take that as a positive sign, and I believe from my understanding that things are improving. I think they have a ways to go, but we'll just see about that. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. I want you to have a great rest of the day. Merry part, and I hope to merry meet again. Goodbye, guys.